Hey everyone, what's going on? Jason Pacheco here with John Giswaldi, real estate agents in Rhode Island. Just wanted to come on here today, talk about the market, what's going on in the market, what we're seeing. Um, I'll start with a couple things. So we do have three closings this week, each kind of a little different. We're going to go through them. John, we'll start with you. You have one closing tomorrow. So what is it that your client's buying? Who are you representing?
Yeah, I'm representing the buyer on this transaction. It's a new construction condo in Warwick. So closings tomorrow. We're doing a 9:30 final walkthrough. 11 a.m. We're going to the attorney's office to sign some documents. But yeah, it's a new construction condo, so a little bit different as far as the negotiation process goes. But client's got a great deal in the condo. Um, yeah, it's the buyer client. It was a referral from a past client, so
Any hiccups or headaches or issues?
a little bit here and there. There was when we were in the negotiating process, we had a deal that was done, and we sent a contract over to the seller side to sign it. When we had a verbal agreement. One thing to know about real estate is the deal is never done until a contract is executed by both parties. So even if the seller side says, "Yeah, we accept your offer," it means nothing because it's just verbal. So in this situation, we had a verbal agreement. We thought the deal was done. The seller actually ended up getting another offer at the last minute. So we ended up having to get into a little bit of a negotiation process there. But my client kind of stayed strong through it. They were able to still get the condo at the price that they wanted before. I
Oh,
think
that's good. Yeah.
the strength of their financing kind of helped them out in that scenario. But yeah, so that was kind of how that went down. That was the only real hiccup. Other than that, it was a really smooth transaction. Lender was really solid. So
Yeah. So they're buying nothing to sell or anything, just bought the condo, right?
yeah, they're just buying this condo.
Yeah, so tomorrow I have a closing. I actually have a final walkthrough after this, and this client had to sell his place and then he bought something. So he needed to sell to buy. And those transactions can be very complicated and such. So reason how kind of how that takes place. I always advise that if you want to buy something but you have a house already and you know you're going to want to sell it or need to sell it to buy something else, when you're ready, you put the house up for sale subject to you finding a place, and then you go out house shopping. Couple reasons here. One, when you're placing an offer and you're on, and you have to place the offer, here's my offer and it's subject to me selling my home. Now, put yourself in the seller's shoes. They see your offer and they're like, all right, he has to sell his home in order to buy mine. This could be a headache to accept. And then they go online and they're like, his house is not even for sale yet. So if I accept his offer, he has to put his house up on the market, get photos, have an open house, get an offer accepted, and go through the entire transaction in order to buy mine. That sounds like a lot and it's overwhelming. But if you put the house up for sale already and you even accept an offer before you find the house, now you go place that offer and go back in the seller's shoes, and they're like, all right, this guy has to sell his place in order to buy mine. But hey, yeah, there's an offer accepted on the house already. You already found the buyer. The house is on the market. Things are a lot more ahead. So that's one. And two, when you're placing an offer on a home, you're not really sure what you're going to get for yours yet. You're just getting an estimate of, let's say I think I'm going to sell my house for 350. So that's kind of the ballpark number I'm using to house shop. Now, if you actually put your house up on the market and accept an offer, you see the exact figure you're going to get in proceeds because you see what offer you're accepting. Maybe it's 20 grand more than you thought, or maybe it's 20 grand less than you thought, and it's going to affect the house you're buying. So it's good to put your house up on the market first, subject to you finding housing, and then go look for that house. That's the best way to do it in this market right now. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think there's more wiggle room too for you if plans changed. If you're the seller and you put the house up and you need to back out of the contract for whatever reason, you can do that without losing a deposit. If you were to go out and place an offer on a home first, and say your inspection period goes by or whatever, you may not have the ability to back out on the transaction as easily as you would if you were the seller in the situation. So
Right. Yeah. Just to add in, keep in mind, if you put your house up for sale, subject to you finding housing, you can actually accept an offer and you not even have a place to live yet. And it really will help you in the long way. You can back out without a penalty if you can't find something, but buyers are willing to wait right now for you to go house shopping because I want to get into the market now. It is still a seller's market.
Hmm.
That means the sellers have the leverage, the sellers have the say, and the buyers are doing the waiting. And they don't really have too much to leverage right now, to leverage on right now, unfortunately. So just to kind of chat about some rates and stuff, interest rates right now are about between 7 and 8%. That is a lot. A lot of people refinance during the 3% era, and we might never see that again. So if you're a seller and you have a 3% interest rate on your home and you're paying a low monthly payment, why would you want to go sell and buy something at an 8% interest rate? That's kind of where maybe the lack of inventory is coming
Yeah.
from. Sellers aren't not wanting to sell.
It's the dilemma, right? Because they could, on one side, they could sell their home for a great price. Their home value is probably at an all-time high. But yeah, like you said, at the same time, the interest rates are so high. So why would you go trade in a 3% note
Right.
for 7-8%?
So that being said, too, inventory is what's the interest rates are not helping buyers right now, and it's not really helping sellers either. What's helping sellers and what's driving this market is the low inventory. Um, we're at about 900 single family homes for sale right now. And, let's just look at some things. So, for as long as I can remember this entire year, I don't think we've ever went over 900 homes for sale in Rhode Island, single family homes. We're going to probably go over 900 right now. Rates are a little higher. Some buyers are kind of staying on the sideline. The inventory might creep up a little. What I think's really gonna make or break things for bringing down the competitive level is the type of winter we have. So if rates stay at about 8% throughout the winter, and we get whacked with some snowstorms, which we haven't in the past 3 years or so, but if we get hit with some snowstorms delay things, put things on pause, slows down the market, along with some higher interest rates, could really halt some things during the winter and actually allow for some more inventory to come back on the market. And I want to add this too. A lot of people I speak to all the time say, "Hey, things are just so hot right now. I'm going to stay put until things come down."
Right.
All right. So a good time to buy. So a buyer's market think is usually the term is it's a good time to buy when there's blood in the streets. That's what I hear. So
Okay.
as in think of in stocks, whatever it looks like, real estate. Let's say there's a recession, economy comes crashing down, values and things tank, everything just tanks. What's causing the tank? Loss of jobs. So if you're waiting for things to drop, do you still have a job? Interest rates are probably through the roof. So if you're waiting for a good time to buy because you want less competition and lower prices, you're going to pay a higher interest rate most likely. Will you still have a job? Things are going to be scary. But people that actually can buy when the market's really bad, you do make out on the sale side. For example, stocks. The economy crashes, the stock market crashes. You buy up a bunch of stocks when things are low, blood in the streets, right? Then the market comes back and it's beautiful. Market peaks again and you sell at the top, you make money. But for that to happen, there's got to be loss in jobs. There's got to be economy issues. There's got to be something causing it. And whatever that something is, will it affect you? Do you kind of see what I'm saying
I see
there?
what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, like so just to summarize that, if you're waiting for things to crash, something's got to happen for the economy to crash and for prices to come down. If you're waiting for that, what's going to do it is high interest rates. High interest rates will bring some pricing down. So if you want to wait and pay a really high interest rate, do you want to? It's up to you. Or do you want to risk job loss or people losing jobs around you like crazy? Markets coming down. Is that something you want to gamble on? I don't know. It's really up to you. I've just been hearing since COVID. I remember it was 2019. I was about to buy my first home, and my father said, "Jay, you should really wait for the market to kind of see what's going to happen through COVID." And people are still waiting. It's
Yeah.
2023 now. 24 is in like 4 months, and the market's still going up. So if you've been waiting that long, you've lost out on like $100,000 in equity in your home.
One thing I want to add to on the opposite end of that is sitting on the sidelines really worth it? Because if the interest rates are around 7-8% right now, how many other buyers might be sitting on the sidelines right now hoping for those rates to come down? And what I mean by that is if you wait for those interest rates to come down, how many other buyers are going to get back into the market when
Exactly.
those rates come down to 5-6% again? you might be coming into the market where the rates are a little bit better, but now the market naturally is going to have more competition than it does right now. And it's already a highly competitive market. So is that really the best thing? Because you might have to, offer over asking, waive your inspection. Most buyers are covering appraisal gaps now too. So you kind of need to weigh the difference between, is it really worth sitting out on the sidelines right now? And I just want to give an example of a client who I helped last year. When the rates originally went up in the winter, it was around December. The market slowed down a little bit. I mean, they went up and then they came down a little bit in the spring, and now they're kind of up again. But the rates went up and the market kind of slowed down a little bit for the buyers there. My client was able to, they dealt with it. They understood they have the chance to refinance down the road, but they ended up getting a great deal on a house. We negotiated a deal $48,000 under asking, which if you said that to someone right now, they would think you're crazy.
Right.
So they did an inspection, they got the house under asking, and it's a beautiful home. And they even, had some wiggle room in the negotiation process along the way. So if you can kind of deal with that higher interest rate for a year or two, just keep in mind when you do refinance on the property, that might be the best long-term play for you. And I'm not a lender, but those are some of the things I'm hearing from just talking to different lenders.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially a lot of people are waiting for something to happen, and if you're waiting for those rates to come back down, I hear this all the time. Imagine all the buyers are gonna come back out of the
Right.
woodworks, be like, "Hey, they're back at 5. Let's go, let's go, let's go." And then your inventory is gonna go down, 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 and you're gonna have to waive those inspections and all this crazy stuff. So maybe a new number to look instead of interest. What is the interest rates? Ask what's the inventory like. If the inventories are in the thousands, things are a little less competitive. They should be anyway. And to add to that, from an investor point, there's deals out there still on MLS. It doesn't have to be off market. I bought a house as an investment in January 2023, 7% interest rate. I'm still cash flowing. So I bought in this market. So I'm not preaching something that I wouldn't do. I bought a house that was on MLS in this market with the 7% interest rate, and I'm still cash flowing. They're out there. You just have to know what you're looking for. Um, Agree, right?
Agree.
Another thing I want to talk about today is just the condo stuff. I'm a little frustrated. Maybe it's more of a vent session, but I'm not happy with condos are tricky, and I'm not a fan of them. And I'll be honest, I'm just not too big of a fan. I'm just not a big fan on.
So you don't like, the design, you don't want to live there, or
No,
is it just kind of
ideally,
the rules and
ideally, I think it sounds great. Like living in a condo, I don't have to cut grass, do
right?
lawn, just live in the condo. It's great. Don't have to do too much, and they're a little more affordable sometimes. But what if the condo association gets into a lawsuit and it kind of affects the money in the condo association,
Yeah.
right? That happens. Then buyers try and, sellers in the complex want to sell and get out of it because they're sick of the headaches and the lawsuits and stuff, and they just want to sell it. Then they want to go and sell it, and buyers want to buy it. But the mortgage companies aren't lending on the condo right now because it's a lawsuit. So now the only way those people can buy to sell their property are the people with cash.
Right.
That's just going to hurt your value in your home, and it's not even something you did or can control. It's like kind of like when I own a single family home, it's the home and me. I own it and I own the home. If it's a condo, it's like you own the condo, but then there's the condo association, and if buyers want to get financing on it, there's a questionnaire that has to be filled out by the buyer's lender, and things have to line up. For example, a condo deal fell apart on me today. So I sold the condo to a buyer in this complex about 4 years ago now, right? He's been talking to me saying he wants to sell soon. Keep it at that. Then I just had a buyer want to buy in that complex. Under contract, closing should be in about a week and a half. He can't get financing on it because of some issues with the association. And I was told by the lender that almost every lender in Rhode Island won't even touch it. It's got to be cash. They won't touch it. There's just some major concerns there. So now when my client reached back out to me and says, "Hey, I'm ready to sell," that value that I told them before is going to go down because no one can buy it
Yeah.
unless it's cash.
It's going to be tough for your seller. It's not impossible to get a cash offer, but other buyers in the market who are working with real estate agents, they're going to be advised by their agent that the leverage just isn't there because you're cutting off a large portion of the buyers that are available to that property. So they're going to go into it knowing, How many other cash buyers are really offering on this property? So they're going to come in naturally with a lower offer.
Yeah. So I mean that. So we're in North Point Bank right now doing this podcast, and Justin's trying to save the loan. Let me just add that in and shout him out. But it's going to be tough. And that's why condos are just so tricky with me. Unless, the association has a really good reserves and funds and whatever it looks like, there's still always that little chance there's a lawsuit that happens or something funky happens or someone in the association is taking money. There's just something you can't control there as a homeowner
Right.
that can affect your value that I don't like.
And not only that, but that could result in extra payments that could be charged
Yeah.
onto your HOA fee. If
HO
they need to
fee.
build
Yeah.
those reserves back up, guess who's paying for it?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So again, I just wanted to again we can talk about this leads into the perks of cash. Cash offers are great. I don't know if they're overrated. I don't know. It depends on the situation, but if cash offers are really good, I guess on condos because it's cash. That means no condo questionnaire has to be filled out, no condo approval. The buyer buying it cash doesn't even care. Like the association isn't even a play anymore. And then the appraisal's huge with single family and multifamily homes. That's the biggest plus. If you're buying cash, there's no appraisal, which means you can buy a home in any condition. There's absolutely no, you could buy a house in any condition with cash, where if you're getting financing, there's different things with different loan products. And also, how quick you can close is a plus.
Any price point too.
You're right. You're free to offer at any price point you want. That you don't have to worry about the property not appraising or anything like that.
Yeah.
So the last topic I have to add here is really how important it is. I mean, if you're selling and buying at the same time, it's really complex. You definitely need to have a savvy, proactive agent working with you. And even in this fast-paced market, it's important too. But really, with any transaction, you want someone that's going to problem solve fast and not just a little pat on the back to us. I have again this client, and there was a lot of moving parts here. One being his heat doesn't work in the unit, and we marketed it as a working AC and heat unit, whatever. And we thought it was going to be installed prior to closing. And closing tomorrow, the unit's not here. So, as a real estate agent, you need to be able to adapt. What can we do? How can we problem solve this issue where everything's happy and it moves forward? My client was very stressed out. We have to have a plan in place. If I wasn't a problem solver and I freaked out with them, the deal would have fell apart. But we
Right.
came to a solution. Also, that's one issue was going on with that transaction. Another one was he had to sell his house in order to buy. So I had to convince the other side, hey, listen, he has to sell his house, but it's gonna be a fast close, yada yada. And I had to actually back up my talk, which we did get an offer. It was actually cash within 48 hours of putting it up for sale. Another moving part, weird thing with condos. So in the contract, the way it's just written out in the purchase and sales agreement is the buyers have 10 days to review the condo documents. They can back out if they find anything in there they don't like. Also, there's a 5-day period where when they receive the resale certificate, they have 5 days to review it and back out and if they don't like anything on that resale certificate. So let's say we presented him the resale certificate a week before the closing, and all of a sudden the buyer's like, I don't like this verbiage on the resale certificate. I want to back out and get my deposit back. That would make my sellers have to take his house off the market, and then he no longer can buy that other house a week before he thought he had. He was going to close, all his storage was away. It would have been a huge headache. So as a real estate agent, you have to really be proactive, request these documents the day you get under contract so you can kind of get that clock started and
Yep.
close as soon as possible. Um, and then final walkthrough issues. Like, for example, I had a final walkthrough with my client. The vinyl siding wasn't the way he liked it. It was kind of peeling, hanging off. There was gaps. And at that point, he's like, hey, listen, this is something I will walk away the transaction from. I'm worried about water issues getting in the vinyl, yada, yada, yada. Hey, everyone has their own concerns. I wasn't going to judge him or whatever it is. It did look like there were some issues going on, but I could, if I didn't know what to do and I didn't have a problem to give to him, there could have been a huge issue. But luckily this morning we were all over it. issue, the problem was solved, he's happy, and we're closing tomorrow. But those are like 4 to 5 moving parts there, that if you didn't have someone problem solving from you, if you couldn't handle 4 issues in that transaction, something would have happened.
Yeah. One thing I want to note about the final walkthrough is that's really your last chance to go into the property and make sure that it's still in the condition it was in when you first looked at the home. There are times, it's very rare, but there are times where you show up to the final walkthrough and there could be an issue that came up with the house that wasn't there in the past. So this is your chance to kind of bring that to the seller side. Make sure you raise that question and get your attorneys involved to make sure that you're covered, and that
Right.
way you're not in a situation where you still have to go sign and close on this house and you're really not comfortable with that sale. So you want to make sure that you cover all your bases, talk to your real estate agent, and make sure that you really, take advantage and look hard at the final walkthrough. Don't just walk around and drink champagne.
Right.
You want to make sure that everything is still in working condition like it was when you first viewed the property, because
Yeah.
things come up.
Yeah, it's really a matter of final walkthrough. It's that chance you get to look through the property one last time, and the purpose is to make sure the home is in the same condition since the last time you saw it, and to make sure all the belongings are out. And at this time, maybe you look at some repairs that were made because you guys negotiated some repairs maybe during the home inspection. But what it's not a time to do a second inspection.
Right.
It's not a time to measure a bunch of stuff where your furniture is going to go and all that stuff. You're walking through the property, you're making sure it looks the same it did since the last time you saw it, and that it's empty. And at that point, if there's a new piece of damage in the house, or there's a bunch of stuff in the house that you want out still because the seller left tires behind and paint and whatever, then you take that matter to your closing attorney, because as real estate agents, we can't really enforce law. We can't enforce anyone to do anything. We can advise, but if we want to really enforce the law or the contract, we need the attorney to do that for us.
Right.
That's the final walkthrough stuff. So, real estate's complicated, a lot of moving parts. We're always here to answer any questions. You can always reach out to John or myself. We're here 24/7. Hope you guys enjoyed watching, and have a nice night.